Okay, let's continue building out our register and broadcast node endpoint. So at this point, we have registered the new node with the current network node that we're on, and we are broadcasting the new node to all the other nodes in our network. So we are hitting the register node endpoint on all the other nodes inside of our network. And we're assuming that those other nodes are registering the new node, which we haven't built out yet, but we're assuming that it's working. And then after that whole broadcast is completed, down here inside of our .then statement, now what we have to do is register all of the nodes that are currently inside of our network with the one new node that we are adding to the network. So let's do that now. And to do this registration with our new node, we are going to hit the register nodes bulk endpoint. So let's do this now. We are going to use our request promise library, so we need to define some options. So we will say const bulk register options equals an object. And the URI that we want to hit is the new node URL plus we want to hit the endpoint register nodes bulk. Cool. And we want to use the method post, and in the body we want to send the data all network nodes, which will be an array. And inside of this array we want all the URLs of all the nodes in our network plus the URL of the node that we're currently on. So inside of this array we will say bitcoin.network nodes, and we want to use the spread operator because this is an array and we don't want an array inside of array, but instead we want to spread out all the elements of this array and put them inside of our outer array. So we have all the URLs of all our network nodes, and we want bitcoin.current node URL. So we are sending along the data inside of our body that is all network nodes. And that's going to consist of all of our network nodes plus our current node URL. Cool. And finally, our last option, we want to say JSON true. And now we want to make this request, so we will say RP, which is our request promise library, and we want to pass in our bulk registration options. And we want to return this. And down here we want to say .then with the data that we receive from this promise. We're actually not going to do anything with this data, but we want to use this .then because we want to do the next step inside of our endpoint only after this promise has completed. And actually the last step inside of this endpoint is just to send a response back to whoever called it. So we will say res.json, and we will send an object that has a note that says new node registered with network successfully. Cool. And that's it for our register and broadcast node endpoint. So let's run through this endpoint top to bottom again real quick, just to understand a little bit better what exactly is going on. So when we want to register a new node with our network, this is the first endpoint that we want to hit. The first thing that we're doing inside of this endpoint is we're taking the new node's URL and we're registering it with this current node by pushing it into our network nodes array. The next step that we have to do is broadcast this new node URL to the rest of the nodes in our network. And we are doing that inside of this for loop. Basically, all that's happening inside of this for loop is we are making a request to each of the other nodes in our network. And we're making this request to the register node endpoint. We are pushing all of these requests into our register node promises array. And we are simply running all of those requests right here. Once all of these requests are finished, without any errors, we can assume that the new node URL has been registered with all of our other network nodes successfully. So after our broadcast is complete, the next thing that we want to do is register all of the network nodes that are already present inside of our network with our new node. So we make a single request to our new node and we hit the register nodes bulk endpoint. And the data that we pass along to this endpoint is the URLs of all the nodes that are already present inside of our network. We then run this request. And even though we haven't built out this register nodes bulk endpoint yet, we're going to assume that it's working. And we're going to assume that all our network nodes have been registered with our new node successfully. Once that has happened, all of our calculation is complete, and we simply send back the note that the new node has been registered with the network successfully. Phew! Okay. So, I know that's a lot, and if you're a little bit confused at this point, that's okay. Don't worry. At this point, I would encourage you to continue moving forward with the course. In the next couple videos, we are going to build out our register node endpoint and then our register nodes bulk endpoint. And as we do this, everything should become more clear to you. Okay, cool. Good job so far, and I'll see you in the next video.